We just filed suit in New Mexico against Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham for her unconstitutional ban on carrying firearms. But is this all just a test for something larger? Hi, I'm Ben, and you're watching the Minuteman Moment. Before we get into the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with your friends so that we can defeat YouTube's algorithm. On September 8th, Governor Grisham banned open and concealed carry under the guise of a public health emergency.
You took an oath to the Constitution. Isn't it unconstitutional to say you cannot exercise your carrying license?
With one exception, and that is if there's an emergency, and I've declared an emergency for a temporary amount of time, I can invoke additional powers. No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute.
The governor's ban drew a surprisingly bipartisan backlash from both Republicans and Democrats.
But
Disgusting.
we also have, Governor, the Constitution of New Mexico and the Constitution of the United States, and you're an attorney. Do you think you're on solid constitutional ground here?
Well, we're going to see. I mean, look, I wouldn't do it if I didn't think I had the right. I have the right.
Where is the right?
Some in New Mexico even called for the impeachment of the governor. The sheriff in Albuquerque vowed not to enforce the ban just a few days after it went into effect. The consensus from both sides of the aisle is that the government cannot suspend constitutional rights, even if it's for a so-called public health emergency. Now that's really interesting, considering that last month, Senate Democrats from the Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions voted to strike down an amendment from the Pandemic and All Hazards Preparedness Act. This amendment would have prevented President Joe Biden and Xavier Becerra, the head of Department of Health and Human Services, from declaring a public health emergency to push gun control. That amendment was known as the Braun Amendment, named for Senator Mike Braun, who introduced it. It would have provided strong protections to protect gun owners from tyranny in the name of public health. During the debate, critics of the Braun Amendment said that the government would never use a public health emergency to push gun control. Well, look how the tables have turned. Only a month later, the critics of the amendment have been proven wrong by the governor of New Mexico. We even made a video on this subject last month. Are we going to get tired of saying, "We told you so"? Only time will tell. The situation in New Mexico shows that allowing public health emergencies to push gun control is ripe for abuse. Gun owners should have the same level of protection from government overreach during a health emergency as they do during a natural disaster. It's also clear that Biden would use any opportunity to restrict law-abiding citizens' Second Amendment rights. We've seen his administration weaponize the ATF to create regulations, subverting Congress's intent, and ban commonly owned firearms. Imagine what he could do if he had emergency powers. Great news, guys. While we were filming this, GOA's crack team of lawyers was able to be granted a temporary restraining order against the governor's unconstitutional action. This means that at least until October 3rd, Governor Lujan can only cry and cope about her failure to tyrannically strip the rights of Americans. GOA Senior Vice President Eric Pratt had this to say: "We are ecstatic that Judge Urias agreed with us that Governor Grisham simply cannot trash the Constitution whenever she sees fit. Gun owners of America will continue pressing to extend this temporary restraining order into a permanent order. And we will not rest until all those in New Mexico who played a role in this action are held accountable for this gross assault on our rights." And get this, the state of New Mexico actually agreed to an extension of this order. Guess it's not as much of a public health emergency as they're playing it up to be. But GOA won't stop there. We're not happy just holding off this single violation of the Constitution. We want to prevent this from ever going to court in the future as well. This is where we need your help. Please call your senators and representatives and let them know just how important it is for Congress to enact further protections against the president or the health secretary weaponizing emergencies. There are plenty of legislative vehicles for your representatives to actually get this done. Senator Braun's and Representative Cloud's bill to enact these protections, known as the Protecting the Right to Keep and Bear Arms Act, could easily be amended to the Pandemic and All Hazards Preparedness Act when it comes to the Senate or House floor. Alternatively, the Senate is considering several appropriation bills this month, which Joe Biden has to sign as well. Whatever the legislative vehicle, tell your representative and senators it's their job to figure out the details. And you need them to prevent tyrants like Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham from being able to push gun control at the federal level in the future. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all of GOA's latest fights for your rights.